Welcome back to Leaning into Your Light. I am Lori Urbaniak, one of your hosts, and my co-host is.
Kimberly K. French. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. We're off to a good start with 2024, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't bother to do resolutions because no, I'm just going to be more conscious, and I think that is something that can be done all year long.
Yeah,
And
it should be all year long, right? Yeah.
conscious
I
and
did do
connected.
some I did do some goals and I'm
Did you?
and
Well,
some
that's
visioning. I
different.
like to I
Yeah.
like to vision.
Yeah, I like
I
that
don't
too.
like goals as much, but I have a few simple goals. But
Yeah. And are
yeah.
they creeping their way into your daily routine, or are they long-term goals, or what are they?
No, they're creeping their way into my long term, and that's where that vision comes in. Like I'm visualizing like this outcome at the
Hmm.
end of the year, and then going backwards to okay, the goal is um, my business, like scale my business and earn an X amount of more money this year.
Hmm.
And the second one is fitness in my body, so
Hmm.
taking care of a health goal
Right.
for myself. And the third one is more time with girlfriends. Quite
Mm.
frankly, I have spent so much of my life focused on my career, and all of my
Mm.
girlfriends have been work girlfriends.
Right.
And when you change jobs, they kind of go with it.
Oh,
Sometimes they
yeah.
don't, sometimes they do, but sometimes they go with it because there's not as
Right.
much to tie you together. So
Hmm.
I'm consciously, intentionally nurturing my girlfriends.
That's important. I remember, oh my gosh, my girls were probably 2 or 3 and took them to the pediatrician for a regular whatever. So they were 2 and 3, the
Mm-hmm.
boys were 7 and 9 or whatever. And I was in a bad place. And I didn't even realize it. I
Mm.
just was like, well, I have 4 kids, so what? My marriage was hanging on by not even a thread. It was
Mm.
terrible. And I went there, and the pediatrician was this younger woman, and she was like, how you doing? I was like, oh, told her a few things, and she goes, oh my God, you need to just go out and have a glass of wine with your girlfriends. And I just started crying because I had lived in 3 states and one country in 2 years, and I had no
Mm.
friends. I had zero. And I
Wow.
started
Yeah.
crying, and I was like, what do you mean friends? And she was like, what do you mean? Like what? And she's like,
Mm.
here's a prescription for Zoloft. And I was like, what? There was like no, like, go to count, nothing. It was like, here, take a pill.
Mm.
And I was like, wow. Then I thought about it later, like, do people with 4 little kids and a failed marriage in a new town, the fourth new town in 2 years, have time for friends?
Mm.
Well, please tell me someone who does, because it ain't me. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there's times in your life when you're like, I don't know what's happening. And that
Yeah.
didn't feel very good. I mean, it was nice. She was like kind of supportive, but sort of dismissive too, and not
Mm.
understanding. It was like, just go out with your girlfriends, assuming I had girlfriends.
Yeah. Yeah. You have
Yeah.
babysitters, have money to pay babysitters. You got, a husband that supports you.
And I know
Oh
people.
yeah.
I had just moved there. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That makes it, I've moved like every 2 to 3 years in my life. And my childhood was that way. So continuing in that
mhm.
pattern. So when you do, it's hard to like stay connected. This is
Mhm.
probably the longest I've lived any place. I live in Oregon now, and it's just like the longest. And I'm still like not in the pattern of like nurturing relationships.
Yeah.
So, and I have to consciously do it now. I'm sorry, my cat is like getting really active right now, so she's
Oh,
moved
that's fun.
screen and
I had at one point with I had 9 addresses in 10 years,
mm,
and we had
yeah,
lived in 3 different states before my girls turned 2, and they were
mm,
conceived when we lived in another country. So it
mm,
was a blur.
yeah.
And
So you got to
yeah.
pick yourself up after that, right? Because you need girlfriends,
Hmm.
and a guy
Yeah.
needs guy friends. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
So my
Yes. Yes.
vision for the year. So the vision I have around those 3 goals is we're sitting at a resort
Oh.
in my swimsuit, feeling really confident in my swimsuit, no matter what size I am. I want to be strong. And I'm hanging out with my girlfriends having a glass of wine, and we're talking about how successful our businesses are and how much they've grown this year.
I love
And
it.
I love that visual, and it's having me take daily action. So I just like, I'm, hanging out with you here. This is like a friendship that I want to nurture, is this friendship with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I wish we could go out for like, a drink after, at the end of the week, but,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
get there,
Yeah. Yeah.
your books and my business are going to be so successful. We'll just like fly in every once in a while to do that. And yeah, and I'm consciously eating better food, whole
Mm-hmm.
foods, and I'm I'm doing all three of the areas. I'm taking like little steps every day. I think that's important. In the past, I would make these big goals and go gangbusters. Got to go to the
Mm-hmm.
gym every day. Got to have food app. Got to like,
Yeah.
do X, Y,
Yeah.
Z. And then you're like, I can't sustain that. And so I just like, you back off. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
little things starting every single
Baby
day,
steps.
baby
Baby
steps,
steps.
and
That's
having
what I
that
talk.
vision that pulls you.
Yes. And I talk about that with clients that I work with. Like, they want to change. And I was like, okay, first of all, let's identify what you want to change,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to do that. You can't just say, I want to change. You have to
Right.
have a little specifics. And then you start to cultivate how it's all up here,
Yep.
and like I was talking to someone this morning earlier, and ADHD as an adult never
Mm-hmm.
has had a calm brain. That ADHD is leading to, uh, very, very spontaneous, impulsive. I'm going to go do this and get it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't, and then they get depressed. So it's
Yeah.
mimicking bipolar almost, the manic
Mm.
depressive. So I talked about the ADHD and how if you were focused, that makes a difference. But if it's impulsive and not thought out, then you get into that cycle. So
Yeah.
they were going to maybe look at some medication for
Mm.
kind of, you know, balancing their brain chemicals. And then he was like, I'm going to go. And I'm like, no, you have to understand what you
Mm.
feel like now that
Yeah.
your brain is in this way. So baby step your way. Make a
Yeah.
journal of how you're feeling each day. Get used to making decisions while your brain is in this different state. Because before, I don't, he's almost to the
Mm.
point frozen, like, I can't make a decision because I never follow through. So I'm just not doing anything. Well, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you slowly um, be more in tune with where
Yeah.
you're at?
But we're in a culture that rewards speed,
Mm.
action, like get it done,
Hmm.
success at all costs. And if
Yeah.
you were to go to like Italy or, the Mediterranean, where people, cherish their friendships, cherish the slow walks. I
Yep.
mean, and not everybody, I'm overgeneralizing for sure.
But
But we
I
are
get
in a
it.
culture that, yeah, that we are in a culture that really does not support the slowing down and taking baby steps.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to be like pioneers and,
Hmm.
go against like our programming so
Yeah.
that we can actually build a life that we like rather than trying to like build a life that it looks good on the outside, but we're like dying on the inside.
Right.
And I know this, I've been there in my life in the past, and I know so many others who get to
Yeah.
that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we need to figure out how to just like, you know, give the middle finger to society and say, I'm going to live it on my terms.
Well,
Thank you
right.
for your feedback.
To your point, that's being vulnerable
Yeah.
in sharing that with people and not going with the, I'm fine, everything's great. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. And so I
Yeah.
think there's a fine line of how you talk about that without, I mean, with still being kind and still holding
Mm-hmm.
compassion for other people. Um,
Yeah.
because sometimes people don't, they're like, wait, what? You don't feel good? What? You're always happy. What's wrong with you?
Mm.
That's what they
Yeah. What's
say,
wrong
right?
with you? Yeah. And there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong. We have
Yeah,
emotions.
right. If you show up with that certain mask on, and then one
Yeah.
day you're like, "Ah, I'm done with that." Then they're like, "Ooh, they're pissed off, or they're mad, or they're sad, or is they
Mm.
okay?"
Yeah.
No. So I was talking to someone else too. This was an interesting. I'd never heard it described this way. She speaks of her different facets, like in a stone.
Mm.
Like she has different facets that she presents as.
Mm-hmm.
She's really aware of them, and she's a real strong introvert, and she's a middle school teacher. So it's battling against who she really is,
Yeah.
because she doesn't like to be the presenter self all day long. So,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to identify that, oh, that's great. You don't want to do that. You didn't go to school to be a teacher. So what is it that you want to do?
Yeah.
But until you can get to that point and be real honest and vulnerable with yourself and say, this is what I want or don't want, and be okay with it,
Yeah.
you're going to have anxiety, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I've dealt with anxiety a lot of my life and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I just like said, okay, I'm going to be anxious or I'm going to be depressed and accept that piece of myself. Because when the acceptance came, then
Right.
I was able to see things from different frames. Like, oh, well, this
Mm-hmm.
job may not be the best job for me. Right. But if I
Yeah.
was fighting against it and like, no, I got to be a certain way, I got to be this way because
I'm
everyone's
fine. I'm
expecting
fine.
me.
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's just like you dig yourself a bigger and bigger hole and it gets worse and
Mm-hmm.
worse. And yeah, I'm done with that. And maybe that just comes with age too. But I'm hoping that, younger people can learn that sooner with,
Oh,
all the
yeah.
resources that are out there.
Yeah. And I think one of the things like that you just said, other people, I had this, and I didn't realize it until not that long ago, a really huge fear of disappointing people. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So I got to do what I got to do, no matter what. So I didn't disappoint people. And then I was flashing back, and I'm not really one to like, say, oh, my childhood had all this to do with how I am. I mean, yeah, but cut it off
Yeah.
and move forward. But
Mm.
I remember very distinctly my mom doing I'm so disappointed in you
Mm.
over
Yeah.
and over, anything. And
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm so, oh, what? That was like, knife in the heart. I disappointed somebody. And that was just her way of discipline. And that's harsh in a way. I think I'd
Yeah.
rather get smacked and be over and
Yeah.
done with it, A little
Yeah, that
smack
probably
to the
had
gut.
his own challenges in adulthood to deal with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the words are so powerful from our parents, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I have a teenager now, and I have to remind myself that, she struggles with her emotions right now. And I think a lot of teenagers
Yeah.
do because they're trying
Mm-hmm.
to fit in and they're trying to like figure out where they fit. And
It's so
sometimes
hard.
it's not an easy answer at that age.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And
No.
getting them through that stage to the other side to say, you're enough no matter what, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
what I also
challenging.
I'm grappling with that. Why do so many people not feel like they're enough? Like, why do so many of us, like, that is like a common thread of humanity of never measuring up. And I think in all cultures, I don't think this is just the US, but we have it in spades because, we're always told to do much more and do it faster and better and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I work with a lot of people and we get to that, like my lack of confidence is because I'm insecure that what I'm going to put out there is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle with that. I mean, I've been putting more videos out. I've been putting like
Good for you.
for my own business, I've been like doing all the social media stuff and building my stuff and I'm just starting out. So some of it's not great. Some of it is, and some of it, it's just, I'm putting myself out there to be vulnerable. And then one little comment from somebody yesterday just like smacked me upside the head. And I was like, oh, Kim, I don't think you're being authentic. I think you should really go back and take a look at how you're doing videos. You're a little bit too
Oh.
much. You're over the top. I'm like, oh, I'm too much.
Oh, I
What?
heard that too. Oh,
Oh gosh.
yeah.
So I reached out to a friend who also gets that feedback a lot. Like, you're too much. Tone it
Mm.
down. And it's like, who is got any right to tell me or you or anybody else how much is too
Right.
much? Right?
Right.
Like if I'm excited and exuberant, I am going to be excited and exuberant. And if I'm going to be a little bit sad someday, okay, so I'm going to show up a little bit sad someday. And, so because I get the other side too, is like you're too neutral. Like I get either you're too much or you're too neutral. Like you show some more emotion. So I show more emotion, I'm too much. And I tone it down and I'm too little. It's like, I got to stop caring what other people think. And I've come to that conclusion a long time ago. But until I actually like get into that pattern of like hearing it and saying, yeah, that's you, that's not me. Yeah, things still trigger me a little bit. I get triggered a whole lot less, like when I was in my 30s, but being in my 50s, I still get them every once in a while, like yesterday, because I was really putting myself out there and being vulnerable. I was like, oh yeah, this is just part of the journey. That's where I got to yesterday. This is just part of the journey. Thank you for that feedback. And I'm going to go continue being whatever the hell I want to be.
Yes. Whatever shows up. That's who you
Right.
are. That's your authentic self.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's so you do the best you can. I think that's being authentic. I talk to a lot of people who are stuck in that perfectionism world.
Hmm.
And same thing, like, what is that? There isn't one. So instead of trying to have them not say perfect or perfectionism because it's so ingrained, I say, let's redefine what that means. Because right now you say perfectionism. What? So
Yeah.
it's doing the best you can. That's perfect.
Hmm.
That's a sense
Yeah.
of perfectionism. Is doing the best you can at your job or
I like
whatever it
that.
is that you're comparing. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who's in a kind of a social worky kind of job, and talk about a thankless job. I've done that.
Yeah.
And so you can't be perfect in a job like there is.
Yeah.
First of all, none, but especially in a job like that when it's other people. Anyway. But let's just say you're going to do the best you can, and that's your sense of perfectionism.
Yeah. Every single day, just show up to do the best you can.
Yeah.
Right. And you're gaining skills and you're going to maybe do a little bit better. And you're going to get to a place where you're kind of like capped out of what you can do too. So it's okay to be there or
And
to,
yeah, but if you do, let's just say you do 20 calls one day and 10 the next, does that mean that 10 calls aren't good or you didn't know? That
right.
means that's where you were at that day.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the energy, or some took longer, or you had to go walk outside. So what?
Okay. And it may not be, and whatever that
go.
is. Yeah. And you ate healthy. Maybe that's the goal of the negative emotions or challenging grief going on. Cause I know that I could eat a whole tub of ice cream, if I,
But then too, like another dive down is, let's say you really did bag off that day and you did. So say it. That's perfect too. Being like, I was not feeling it, so whatever. I know I fiddled around and did other things. I didn't give it my all. But okay. I'll try again tomorrow. So it's being kind to yourself. I think that's a big part of it too. It's just
it is.
The critical voice thing is so loud for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And tamping that down and saying, yeah, no thanks. I don't want to be that person today. I'm going to, get more in touch with my intuitive side. I always I'm like, my gut, listen to your gut.
Yeah,
that
for sure. I'm all about inner guidance. I teach a lot about inner guidance. And so even like if you have too many of those days where like you just like, I'm not feeling it today. If you have enough of those days, that's when you start questioning and saying, okay, is this the right thing for me? My intuition is maybe telling me something because my energy isn't in this job or my energy isn't in doing this activity that I'm doing. Right. And that's where there's data for you to like go back to and say, oh, maybe I need to make a change here. Yeah.
But that's trusting. That's being, I think, being really brave and listening and, acting. Like there's a lot of levels to that.
Yeah.
I think
there's a lot of levels.
Being, authentic is digging deep and not really having the worry about comparisons and just say, this is what feels good for me. So here we are. This is me today. This is how I'm going to show up for the world.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And even as we're making this video, I talked about my cat earlier. She just has to like scratch her neck and everything. So people are going to see my video shake. And I've gotten feedback on people, your video was shaky. I'm like, my cat sometimes scratches her neck and it's going to be shaky. So I guess I could leave her outside the door to be, and then she's going to cry the whole time. Or, let her be here and have a shaky video. And be okay with that and not have to like, oh, we got to start over. Lord, we got to start over. My cat was shaking. It's going to be a shaky video. People are going to give me feedback.
Yeah.
But there are people I know in my life that give me that kind of feedback. It's like, watch out for the shaky video. I'm like, I'm going to tell people it's my cat. So they're going to have to deal with some shaky video every once in a while.
Yeah, I like that. That's being you. You're not pretending
Right.
you don't have cats and that they can be a little
Yeah.
too friendly sometimes and be very
They are a
close
bit too
to
friendly.
you.
Well, not too. She's not too much. You know, I just projected on her. You know, she's just enough.
she's just she's just right. She's just right.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I love that. And being vulnerable is, I don't know, I'm sure you have. You've listened to Brene Brown talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
has such beautiful words to say about
She
that.
does.
And I was watching this kind of a spliced up video of her different talks, and she was talking about the negative
Mm-hmm.
comments that she gets. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like personal attacks. They're just really mean. And,
Yeah.
she's just not going to receive that,
Yeah.
and not internalize it and just be like, they're not my people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people that are my people,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really putting up almost a psychic shield of that.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to promote your book or promote your podcast or your business
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, how do you do that? You post something on TikTok where 1 billion people can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
how are you expecting everyone to be your person or your reader or your
You
follower?
can't.
Or
You
no,
got to be okay with that.
and that doesn't come easy. I should
No.
know because I'm not even there
But you're
yet.
going to be there. You're going to
Yes.
market your 3 books. I was so happy to get that text from you this week that you're marketing
Yeah.
your 3 books.
Yes, I'm going to talk with her. I'm almost done. I'm just about over halfway done with the edits on book 4,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm looking forward to getting that one out. And yeah, I'm going to do it cuz why not?
Exactly. Right?
Yep.
Why
Why
not?
not?
Someday you're going to look back and say, I'm so glad I did.
Mhm. I
Right?
think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I don't want to have those regrets. And like I
Right.
was telling you, when my daughter, she's so brave. She went and called the bookstore and said, I want to have a book signing, promote my book. Okay, come on in. And I'm like, why didn't I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Why was I such a chicken? Look at her. She's up there, and people
Yeah.
from the community came. I mean, that bookstore is since closed, but
Mm.
there's other places, right? There's other
Yeah.
places. There's one right down the street that she said, hey, I'm a local author. I'd like to put my book in there. Okay, bring them over. Have I done that?
Hmm.
No.
But now you can.
Yes.
It's never too late. Never too late. And it's even more compelling when you got a 3-book set and you got a 4th one coming, right? It's like,
Yes.
you got cred. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got to breathe through that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, like, and we talked about before, like your book is about your life with your name
Mm.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
And did you hesitate at all? Did you ever think like I could just write this as a third person or somebody I knew that all this happened to and put a different name on my book?
Well, we talked about baby steps, right? This whole journey has been a baby step for me because when I started writing it, I did write it in third person, like,
Ah.
and Kimberly Kay did this and Kimberly Kay did that. And it was just like, that was just my easing into the
Mm-hmm.
process of writing about my life. And then I thought about doing a pen name. And that's really hard if you have a coaching business and you're telling your personal life story and you want to like help a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
and having them connect with you personally. If I just wanted to put the book out there and promote it, I probably would have done a pen name. But I really want to, I don't know, have that ongoing dialogue with people and
Mm-hmm.
having, show up in that way. So, but even as every single step of the way, I had that anxious moment where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And then you just take that next little step. Even right now, I'm really anxious to promote it and do Amazon ads. But I know that's the next step. So I've waited, a little time, and I'm doing a book signing in a couple of weeks, and I've been promoting it to, here locally. And so next is going to be Amazon ads. And that scares me because I'm like, oh, people who don't know me, who don't love me, aren't going to be the ones that tell me the good stuff, right? Might read the book and say, oh, I don't like this person. She's too vulnerable. She's too much. She shares too much, whatever. I don't like the way she treated so-and-so in that story. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love that you brought up Brene Brown. She's one of the people I love to watch. I also was talking to someone yesterday when I was kind of going through some of my fears of being online and being more visible. And he told me, look up Oprah. People ripped her up. They still do, but people ripped her apart. Like when she first started out and her first 10 years, it's just like, they were just so vitriolic towards her.
Yes.
And it's like, why do we have to do that? I mean, is it jealousy? Is it, and just some people just, rub you the wrong way, but why do you feel the need to tear other people down? I mean, that's a topic for another talk,
Yeah.
but,
Right.
but I'm so thankful that Brene didn't stop because of it. I'm so thankful that Oprah didn't stop because of it.
Oh gosh.
There's so many lights in the world that, I'm so glad they were brave and moved through that. And I want to be that. I'm going to be that brave soul. I am that brave soul. I'm already putting stuff out there.
Yes, you are. You are so brave. And I think it's important to acknowledge that because it's not easy. People that are the judgiest are the ones that sit in the dark in the corner and don't ever express themselves. Listen to me being judgy. Typically, people that are very critical like that, it's because you hit a point with them that they're they want to do that, but they have no idea how to. And so instead of reaching in and pulling out their light, they're just throwing daggers, being unkind to people that are. And I guess you just don't hear it after a while. I don't know if you follow, there's a woman on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. She's hysterical. Her name's Elise Myers. Do you know her? Oh gosh, you need to follow her. She's hysterical, but she's in her late 20s. I don't even know if she's 30 yet. Has 2 little kids. She's married and screams anxiety. Like she shares her really hardcore anxiety, and she has millions of followers, and she went viral on TikTok. And I'll tell you really quick because it's really funny. Is when she was single, she went out with she's first date with this guy, and they were going to meet somewhere. And then as it got closer, oh, could you pick me up? My car's broken. Okay, so she picks him up. Where are we going to go eat? Well, I was just thinking, we could just go to Taco Bell. And she was like, what? Okay. And she's driving, so they go through Taco Bell, and he was like, oh, I don't have my wallet. I forgot it. And she's like,
oh no.
Oh, okay, I guess I'll pay. So they get to the thing and order, and he wants 100 tacos. And she was like, 100 tacos? What? So then they go through. She pays for the 100 tacos. She goes back to the house, and he lives with his dad. And his dad's sitting there playing video games, and she was like, oh my God. So they go to the kitchen table. He dumps all the tacos out, and he's like, Dad, come eat. And she was like, she eats a taco or two, and she goes, no. And she packs them all up and leaves. But the way she tells it is way more funny than me. But long story short, she talks about her anxiety over and over and over again in such a real way. People don't like her for it. People make fun of her. People do all that stuff. And you know what her response to that is? I don't receive that. I just don't receive that. And she takes it because she puts herself out there. She was teaching herself how to do makeup and how to do her hair, and people were terrible to her. And she's like, sometimes she gets on there and she's like, what is wrong with you people? Like, why are you so mean? But she's great, and she's brought me a lot of insights and joy to hear her share her life so vulnerably. I mean, she is the funniest stories of growing up in California with 4 older brothers, and I mean, just this whole thing. And I love people like that share and make all of us feel human, and say
that's the thing. Human, being human. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. You should check her out. It's
Yes.
Elise E.
Text me
Yeah, I will. I'll
after
text
this.
you.
So just
Yeah.
text me the name because my book, as you know, my book is all about my personal stories and sharing
Mhm.
like the inner process that I go through and sharing how I connect with the angels and connecting with
I
my
love that.
yeah I yeah and I was never wanting to share that, right? But
Mm.
I think that's what my social media is going to be about. It's like these day to day. In fact, I made a video yesterday where I was crying about the feedback that I got, and I'm like, someday I'm going to post that. Someday I'm going to be brave enough to post me talking about not being enough or not being enough or being too
Too
much,
much.
like both ends. And then you have to be in this little narrow little like section right here where you can barely like see things. But being your full self is so much more powerful. I'll probably add on to it, and describe a little bit more than just like the emotions that were coming out of me yesterday. But yeah, just I really feel called to do that because I really feel like
Mm.
we're all doing the same thing behind the scenes,
Hmm.
right? But we don't give ourselves permission. And why? Yeah.
I don't
I love,
know.
yeah. My dad died when I was 7, and
Mm.
nobody grieved in my family. Nobody grieved. We all tried to put
Mm.
on a happy face, and we all like stuffed it down. And as adults
Oh.
now, everyone still talks about, well, we had to put on a stiff upper lip for mom. She would break down. And I'm like, who
Mm.
the hell cares? I mean, there's still in that story of, we had to like be that way. And I'm envious of those cultures. You see the woman wailing or the
Yeah.
men wailing
Yes.
and just like letting it all out. Because here we're
Hmm.
so stoic. We go to the funeral and
Yeah.
we're trying to still stuff it in. And
Yeah.
when you want to like wail, you want to be like, I can't stand it
Hmm.
anymore. My loved one just died, because
Yeah.
that's how you really feel. And
Hmm.
I'd love to like wail more.
Yes. Wail more. Yeah. I think that's a huge one. Grief is
Mm,
such a thing that I think too is we don't experience all the time. So we
mm,
don't really have a lot of practice grieving.
yeah,
And I think that
yeah,
it's scary, of course, because it doesn't feel good.
hmm,
And I always explain it as it comes in waves. So can you
mm,
stop a wave? Probably no. So just
yeah,
let it. And it's not going to
yeah,
feel good. It's going to feel messy and unsafe maybe and foreign and out of control, but
mm,
the waves crash and then they go away.
yeah,
So
yeah,
roll with it, let it crash
mm,
and then come back.
yeah.
But don't try and tame a wave because you absolutely cannot do that.
Nope. And
And
it's with you
so
50 years later. If you if you
yes.
if you try to tame it, it sticks with you for 50 years
Yeah, or longer. I
or
mean, it
longer.
just
But
keeps coming and so I mean not just grief, but anything like that. But I think
yeah,
grief is really hard for some people because they don't know how you're supposed to handle it. And
mm,
I always there isn't a way.
yeah,
It's however you feel. And like
yeah,
I said, sitting with those uncomfortable
hmm,
feelings. But knowing that
yeah,
every time you do, you're healing.
hmm,
It's not in vain that you're sitting there feeling like whatever, your world just
yeah,
came apart. Um,
yeah.
it
Your
makes a
body's
difference.
your body knows. I mean, your body is so wise, and it'll take you
Hmm.
through it if we just would trust it and
Hmm.
go with it. And I think that's where we
Hmm.
try to control everything. We control our emotions, control our bodily functions, we control,
Yeah.
yeah, all of it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, again, very brave of you with your book. And I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to see how the effort that you're putting in now makes a difference in
Mm,
people's lives because you're going to get that important book to other people and it's going to
yeah.
change their life. And I mean, how great
Thank
is
you.
that? Leaning into your light to shine light on other people so that it's contagious, right? It's
Hmm.
like bing, 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 bing. Someone's going to read that book and it's going to make a difference. And then they're going to say, hey, I read this book and this
Hmm.
is this is what I learned from it. And then that person's going to say, oh, well, that's okay, great. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing. I think it's
Thank you.
wonderful
I'm
because we
feeling
need
guided too.
that.
So thank you. Thank you for reflecting that back to me.
Yeah, I think it's so great. I think it's, you know, when you listen like you did to your vulnerable, authentic self, you produce a
Mm-hmm.
work like that's no mistake. That's no hobby. That's a real thing. That's a real
Mm.
piece of work that is going to help light people's lives up.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I feel like we all need to do more of that. And that's why why we created this channel, is to
Hmm.
share pieces of ourselves, you as the therapist, me as a coach, and you as an author, me as an author. I mean, we're so multifaceted, all of us.
Yeah.
Um, my cat's playing back there. I love that. But we're so multifaceted, all of us. And I think that's, I love social media for that reason. I used to not like social media, but I love
Hmm.
it for that reason, so that we can talk about these things and bring,
Yeah.
what we bring together out there in a more, loving, positive way.
Yep.
So,
Yay. That is
yay.
our goal, our mission.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Well, with that, any plans for the week, or anything that you're looking
Oh,
forward to?
it's going to be like -10 on Saturday night. So, bleh.
Yep, yep.
Actually, one of my friends is doing, I don't know if I'm going to go because it's going to be so cold, but I probably
Mm.
will. A little bit up the mountain, she's
Mm.
doing a silent soiree.
Oh.
It's in a coffee shop, and we bring a book, and there's a bunch of people you pay to go. And part of
Hmm.
the money goes to suicide prevention in our area. So we go socialize for half an hour and then read for an hour in silence in a coffee shop, drinking coffee when it's 5 degrees outside. So
My
I'm going to do
daughter, I need to
that.
tell my daughter about that. My daughter would love something like that. She's a reader, and she brings a friend over and they do readathons.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I've never done one. I've heard of them, but I'm kind of excited. I think there's going to be like 20 people there. So that's kind
wow.
of nice.
Wow.
And just snuggle up and read. And I
Yeah.
just finished a book, so now I'm like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? What book am I going to bring?
Yeah.
So I will find something, or I'll bring my iPad and read on my Kindle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. What about you? Oh,
Send me
go ahead.
that too on text, because I'd love to share that with my daughter, and
Okay. Yeah.
see if we can find something here in our area.
Or she can make one
Um,
of her own.
that's true. She can make one of her own. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. So for me, we also are getting a winter storm. We don't get a lot of them here in Oregon, but where I live. But yeah, we're gonna be hunkering down. I actually, as part of my, connecting with girlfriends, I put a last minute thing together for tomorrow night, going to a paint and sip.
Oh,
And
nice.
if it gets canceled, we'll just go the following week.
There you
So
go. Love it.
yeah,
Just
yep,
don't hold
go
on
with the
to
flow.
things. Yeah, it's just I'm doing that. Go on with the flow.
we can do,
Uh,
we were kind of doing in sync there a little bit there.
yeah. Ooh. All right. Well,
Well,
I will
always
let you
great to
know.
talk to you.
Yes, yes. I'll let you know if I freeze this weekend.
Yeah, please don't.
Yikes.
But dress
Yikes.
warm, be safe, and
Yes.
that weather can be no joke. I grew up in the Midwest, and it's no
Mm-hmm.
joke. So be safe.
Yes. Thank you. I'll talk to
All
you
right,
later. Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye.